KUGAN, CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. We're at West Ham Boys Club. Delighted to be joined by Viddal Riley, fresh from, well, kind of fresh. We're about 10 days since quite an eventful night in Los Angeles. How are you, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It always feels good to be part of the winning team, so I'm good.
How soon after Saturday the 9th did you guys actually sit down and watch the fight and talk about it?
You know, only this week, you know. We made a little video on it that will be out soon. But yeah, me and him actually sit down and watch the fight and talk about what happened. It was kind of just, we was just running our victory lap, so we didn't really sit down and have to review it. I'm sure Logan's watched it more times than I have. But yeah, so we sat down, we watched it. You know, he didn't do technically as good as he could have compared to, you know, the build-up. But, you know, adrenaline gets the better of you. He got the victory. It's not that bad when you win.
I want to kind of backtrack to the weigh-in day because, you know, it was the weigh-in day. You know, obviously I was trying to interview you after the weigh-in, and you were quite adamant that you didn't really want to speak about what had happened at the weigh-in. What was the reason for that, Viddal?
It was fresh. You know, when things are fresh, I didn't want my outburst or my anger to become the topic. I'm not fighting, and they were fighting, so I wanted it to stay about them. I didn't want to give too much publicity over me losing my temper at that time. I'm trying to let KSI focus on the fight. You know, I don't want him thinking, oh, my trainer's out here getting mad and trying to just advertise himself getting angry. So I was like, listen, it happens. Don't worry about that. Let's worry about the fight. Now the fight's out the way, I can just say, yeah, he pissed me off, and I don't get angry often, but that was just a build-up of things over the week, and that was the final outburst.
I was going to say, because during the build-up, especially that week, you were the kind of one of the cooler characters of the whole kind of thing. And we saw Shannon Briggs have an altercation with Badu Jack's manager, which is where it all kind of stemmed from. And then as Shannon Briggs kind of came towards the gate, where it was gated off, we saw you kind of, I mean, I used the expression in my title, lose the plot, but you kind of did, because there was about 5 security there that was struggling to restrain you.
You know, when he pushed my manager, because we have the same manager, me and Badu have the same manager, so when he pushed my manager, I heard a commotion. Then I see Shannon there, so I'm like, what's going on over there? I didn't actually see what happened. I just thought, what's going on over there? Which is why I ended up on that side of the stage anyway. Then as I go over, I'm kind of just talking with my guys, talking with my family, just over the fence. And then I see Shannon in the background, and I'm just like, this guy, like, literally looking at him like, he's right in front of me. There's no security between me and him. So I'm on guard, because I don't know what he's like. And he takes his cap off, and he throws it in my direction. And once he does that, with the build-up of how me and him have been going back and forth, I just lost my shit, man. And I was just like, yeah. Like, I would have actually fought him.
Viddal, I was going to say, you know, like these situations sometimes where, and I'm not saying it always happens, because at the end of the day, you're talking about kind of professional boxers, and you yourself are a professional boxer, but when guys kind of go for someone a little bit half-heartedly, and you think, they know, in your head you're thinking, do they know that there's security, there's a lot of people there, so they could kind of go for them without it. But that situation, I felt like there could have been 100 men there, and you were trying to break through you were meaning that.
The thing is, you know, besides boxing, I'm a man, you know what I mean? And if someone disrespects me or I feel disrespected, then I'll retaliate in a particular way. I'm calm. I like to just do what I have to do and, you know, fulfill my commitments. But then when people decide to push a certain line, they push that line, and I don't care whether he's 6'6", 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. One of them don't count anyway. But 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, I could not care at that moment. As a man, you disrespected me. I'm gonna push back, and then, you know, Neil and his goons decided to hold me down. But it's alright. It was in my best interest.
I bet you're glad they did, really, to be fair, because what would have happened then if you?
It was in my best interest. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm glad they did, because if they didn't, it could have got really out of hand. And we didn't need that. A couple of days before the fight, we didn't need that.
Well, the day before the fight. What was going on? Was it your cousin that was there, the guy in the white shirt? What was going on there? Because he tried to fly kick him, and there was a few kind of hand exchanges.
So as the crowd were moving, you know, more erratic towards Shannon, my cousin's on the outside of the fence, so he can see me losing my temper. So he moves forward to see why I'm acting how I am. And as he's walking towards Shannon swings his arm out over the fence, hits him in the face, and then someone else tries to swing out my cousin as well, and he kind of leans back from one of them. But, excuse me, yeah, it's just a whole load of commotion, isn't it, really? It's what happens in fight week. Fight week gets intense.
It don't always happen in fight week, but that was kind of very unpredictable fight week. We didn't know what was going on from what day to the next. And anyway, so we come to the actual fight itself, and a lot of kind of pressure on yourself, and also for Shannon as well, and probably more so considering Shannon's history in the sport compared to yourself, who's kind of going to guide their man. So to get that victory must have been kind of sweet that, like I said, Shannon's not obviously renowned as like a trainer as such, but he's very experienced, and he was in Logan's corner. So you coming up against someone like him experience-wise, it was there for people to judge.
Yeah, that's the thing. Shannon as a fighter, this is me honestly speaking. Shannon as a fighter, I respect him as a fighter because he was heavyweight champion of the world. Not everyone gets the opportunity to do that in their career, and loads of people have tried and failed. He managed to become heavyweight champion of the world. And as a fighter, I respect him. As a coach, there is no reason for me to respect him because he hasn't achieved anything as a coach. You know what I mean? And that's why there's a line, there's a separate line. As a coach, he has no credentials. I can say the fighter that I had with me 10 days ago, I've trained him from the beginning, and he's never lost. So I go in there with a confidence where I'm like, this guy, when I coach him, he don't lose. Shannon he can't have that. He can't say that. So many people say, because he's heavyweight champion of the world, he was up against it, he's more experienced. But that doesn't mean he can get that across to his student. And, we saw on the night that I could. And that's it. We got the win.
There's been, since then, Shannon, I think, went on Instagram after the day after the fight, and he had some words to say about Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn did respond very strongly.
I haven't seen that yet.
Right, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, Shannon was kind of putting his point across that maybe there was kind of a bit of untowards going on, which resulted in what happened in your man winning.
Honestly, man, I don't know. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen what they said. I've seen like the video titles. I've seen it. I see it popped up on my feed, but I didn't actually click on it. So, what is he trying to say, that Eddie was biased or something, or what?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of things saying. There was a lot of suggestions made towards Eddie Hearn that, like I said, I'm not going to put words into Shannon's mouth, but things were untoward, in that fight.
You got to say to yourself, if Shannon was on the winning team, would he have said anything? That's all you have to think about. If he won, him and Logan won, would he say anything about Eddie Hearn, or would he be praising Eddie Hearn? That's all I have to say on it.
That's fair enough. I'd quite like to see Briggs and Hearn, actually, maybe on the undercard of one of them. Yeah, one result in that. But we see Logan Paul's going to appeal the decision. What is kind of your reaction to that, and what was KSI's reaction to that as well?
I feel like only 3 days ago KSI realised he actually won, because he went on social media and on this whole story rant on Instagram about Logan talking about the appeal and like how the fight went and etc. Like, Logan has a right to appeal. Jack Reese told us in the fighter meeting before the fight, if you're not happy, you do have a right to appeal. So I guess he's using his rights, but he also was doing illegal things in the ring, so he can appeal it, but I don't think it's going to get anywhere. It's hard to take a defeat. Imagine losing to someone like KSI. You got to think about it. It's a big deal. He knows that it's how many people. The industry that we're in, that YouTube community is harsh, man. Like, you're memed, you're getting thousands of people, millions of people commenting on your stuff. Of course, you got to appeal. You got to try and do something to save face, because it's embarrassing, and like, it's not like losing in the traditional boxing world. That stuff is different. So he has to try and appeal. But then if the appeal fails, he just made himself a meme again. So it's like a really sticky community to be in, but it can be lucrative at the same time. It's weird.
Yeah, you make a point there, because I suppose boxers have always got a chance within the space of probably 3 months to put, maybe not the fight they've just had, but they can always kind of put a wrong right in the ring.
Yeah.
We haven't got this situation, and also, you're right, the audiences involved are not really comparable to, I'd say, 95% of the boxing audience. So when you look at it, like, aside from like a Joshua or a Fury or someone, and in terms of numbers, these are the numbers you're talking about, then, yeah.
And you know what? A part of me, because I'm not a heartless human, actually felt sorry for Shannon a little bit the morning after the fight, because I went on his Instagram page and the comments were outrageous, man. These kids, these 10-year-old, 11-year-old kids are ripping into the man, like. And then I thought, well, if I lost, or if JJ lost, then he would have been memeing me. So then I kind of got over it. But initially I was like, oh, this is too much, man. There's no need for it. There's a level where it's like, the fight's done, guys. Let it go. But then they're not letting it go, man. They're riding this out to the death. So fair enough.
Did you speak to Shannon after the fight? Did you have a conversation with him after the
Very
fight?
briefly in the ring, after the fight, we had 2 conversations. One of them, I walked over to the opposite corner, as I do when I fight or if I coach, and I just say to the other team, listen, thank you. You know what I mean? This is without the other person, you can't have these events. So I shook Logan's hand. Jake refused to shake my hand because he said I upset him too much. And then Shannon just fist pumped me and said, cool, I apologize for some of the things I said, which I did in the post-fight press conference as well. And then that's it. I haven't spoken since. And then actually, after that, in the ring, he said when Logan pulled JJ and uppercut him and punched him, that it looked legal to him. That's what he said. He said, it looks legal to me. I was like, it's all right, man. You lost. It's cool.
Immediately after the fight, there was a moment where KSI was kind of pondering whether to kind of embrace and shake Logan Paul's hand. Yeah. It was like he was thinking, and then he finally thought it is the right thing to do in that situation. He also kind of threw cold water over a prospect of a third fight, which would be a second professional fight, but a third fight in all. Could you kind of just run through those 2 things there?
Well, JJ didn't want to, or KSI, he didn't want to actually embrace Logan at all. It was actually Coach Larry who was like, guys, the fight's done. Respect, respect, respect. So if you watch that fight, if you watch it back, you might hear Larry in the background saying, fight's done, respect, respect, respect. So then he shook his hand and was like, cool, it's done. But they built up so much animosity. I don't think they will ever like each other. I don't think KSI and Logan will ever like each other. Because I think things just went too far. Too many personal things were said. Too many digs were thrown to the point where it's like, I beat you now, just get out of my face. Like, we're not friends, we're not boys. But in terms of a third fight, there's no need for a third fight. Logan said 9 times out of 10 he beats KSI, but they boxed twice. One was a draw and one he lost, so that maths is a bit off.
I kind of get that, but I also think numbers-wise, financially-wise, how big is a third fight? We saw how big the second fight was, but on like a professional scale. But a third fight in terms of financially and also kind of from a viewing perspective is surely too big.
So financial, they have no problems, right? They have no problems financially. You can never have too much money, but however, how you make your money, you got to be smart. If I can release a song and get X amount of millions, yeah, or I can go for a 12-week camp where someone's going to be hurting me and punching me in the head for X amount of millions, I'd rather make the song, you know what I'm trying to say? So for them, they have so many avenues to make money. Why choose one of the hardest ways to make it easy living? It don't make sense to me. That's why I said to him, you don't need to go back in the ring. It was a draw. You beat him. Now, if it's life-changing to you, fight again. If it's not going to change your life, just do what you do, man. You was fairly good when you were just doing that. It's calm.
So what kind of opponent, shall we say, would what you're saying make sense for JJ KSI to get back in the ring for? I mean, is he a professional boxer now or not?
Oh, his BoxRec says he's a professional boxer. He's 1-0.
BoxRec also says that Freddie Flintov's a professional boxer as well.
Well, this is my point. There you go. This is my point. You can have a professional fight. Don't make you a professional boxer like the rest of us out there. But he'd have to fight, the Chris Brown of the world or someone that's big.
Bieber.
Bieber's too small, isn't it? Bieber's too small.
Bieber can get on the roids.
If Bieber beefed up, I'd tell him take that fight. It's good. That's a good fight to take. You know what I mean? Or if Jake Paul can beat Anisson Gibb, then fight Jake Paul. But Jake Paul thinks he's going to get a shot straight at KSI. I don't work like that. Gibb's been calling you out for months. So if he beats Gibb, which he won't, if he did, then he could fight at KSI. That's the only fights I would tell him to take. But apart from that, there's no point. It's done.
This is, I know you're a boxing man as well, Viddal, but this is quite mad to hear kind of the guys like Jake Paul and Ethan Gibb, even KSI, all these guys being talked about now in the world of professional boxing. So, but this is now probably a changing factor that we're going to see more. Speaking to Eddie Hearn, and he's seeing these numbers rack up, and he's thinking, what can I make next? Because it is appealing to a different audience, and it could eventually slip in one of these fights, not maybe headlining every show, but slipping one of these fights on, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 cards in a year could kind of build a boxing audience.
It's crazy, man, because, you know, I don't think this is going to be a long-term thing, though. I'll be honest. I think everybody, business-wise, in the boxing world will want it to be a long-term thing because the numbers are just extreme. But you got to remember, these guys dabble in everything. They don't hang about in one thing for too long. I make YouTube videos, I make music, then I play football for a bit, then I do this for a bit. They're not going to hang on to boxing like us losers, you know what I mean? They're going to say, you know what, I've been punched in my head a couple of times. I'm going to go play volleyball instead and make millions of people watch me do that. That's literally how they work. So as much as business-wise, people like Eddie, you know, The Zone and Sky would like this thing to continue, just try and get them now, because once they decide to branch out into something else, that demographic and those companies will benefit from it. So try and strike now. That's all I can say.
So in your opinion, will JJ KSI, will he return to the ring as a professional fighter in 2020?
I don't know. I actually don't know, because it depends on the opportunities that's given to him. If anything is presented that, like I said, is lucrative enough to change his career and boost him into another light again, like this fight did, then we will. If it's it won't be against a journeyman down the road for him to become 2-0. It's not going to be that. It'll have to be another game-changing event. And if it isn't that, he ain't doing it.
2 days after the fight, TV reality star and professional boxer Tommy Fury publicly called out KSI, which, realistic or unrealistic, he still did it, as in terms of whether the fight would actually happen or not. So what was your thoughts to that, and what was JJ's thoughts to that?
Well, my thoughts were I thought it was a bit ridiculous. That's my honest opinion. I just thought, like you got to pick what you want to do. If you want to be recognized as a professional boxer, don't call out YouTubers. If you want to be recognized as a professional boxer / reality TV star, then call out YouTubers. But I don't know what approach he's taking. I don't know what avenue Tommy's trying to take. But I guess by calling out KSI as opposed to another professional boxer, he's going for the popularity and clout route, as opposed to I'm going to climb the rankings and become a champion one day. And I don't think you can argue with that if you call out someone like KSI. You know what I mean?
What did JJ think about Tommy Fury?
JJ was laughing at it. He was just like, well, everyone wants to make money off me now, which is a fact. You know, he's the cash cow, isn't it? So it's mad saying that in the boxing world, but he is the cash cow. So if I can get in the ring with KSI, I'll secure a good payday. I said to him, come on, man, you can't be giving everyone a piece of the pot. You know, you can't do that.
So I know you said, like I said to you, we've just spoken about the potential, not potential third fight. If something mad was put towards you guys for that third fight with Logan Paul, is it something that you would consider, though?
Yeah, definitely. You can't rule things like that out because we don't know how extraordinary the offer could be. But if it's not, as I said, if it's not extraordinary, it ain't happening. But you can't rule it out completely because we don't know what people can bring to the table and what can be offered. But yeah, that's his decision, and I can think what I want. He's the one scrapping at the end of the day, so it'll be up to him. But I would advise him as a friend first. If the deal makes a lot of sense, do think about it and then make a decision.
It's interesting to see not just KSI, but kind of all these YouTubers, what fights do get made. There's talk of Jake Paul fighting an Ethan Gibb next year, early next year as well. So it's interesting to see kind of how this transpires in 2020.
Oh, it's mad. Like I said, I've been there from the beginning, literally from the beginning. You know, I trained at the first ever show where KSI boxed Joe Willa. I trained in Ethan Gibb and KSI the same night. I was in the corner for both guys on the same night. And on the second event when Logan boxed JJ the first time, I was in 3 different corners on that day, 3 different YouTubers. So I've literally seen this thing grow and been a part of it from the core. So when we ended up on DAZN and Sky Sports and all these big networks getting involved, it's like, man, I've been running around coaching these guys from the start, and now they've got to a point where these people care. So for me, I'm really proud to be a part of it and one of the pioneers of it and seeing it grow to this level. It's nuts, but yeah, people didn't believe in it in the beginning. They're believing in it now, so it's good. Just
finally, you're in action at the end of December, hopefully, I believe, in your full fight.
That's the goal. We need to get a few more things finalised, but the Tank Gamboa, Badou Jack Pascal card is what we're aiming for in Atlanta, and that will be my coming out party as a Mayweather fighter. And yeah, literally, a few more things confirmed, and then we'll get the public announcement out.
That's a horrible date for the festive period, isn't it? The 28th of December.
Man. You know what? People say, oh, you're going to miss Christmas. I honestly, I don't care about Christmas, man. It's not a real holiday anyway. Don't matter to me. I need to fight. That's my rule. That's my
loads of your young fans who still,
it don't matter. Listen, it's the realest channel. It's the realest. It always will be. Listen, Christmas isn't a thing to me. What matters to me is my career. So if I have to fight on December the 25th, then I'll do it. If I have to fight on January the 1st, I'll do it. Like, I don't care about these holidays. I care about my progress. So that's it.
Okay, Viddal, listen, thank you very much for your time. And yeah, you're travelling when?
Sunday. I'll be back out in Vegas, get the work in with Jeff and the team. And yeah, have another career-defining performance, and then keep building. That's it.
Last one, KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV with Viddal Riley here. Thank you very much.
He is special. Absolute dynamite. Oh!